When you heard this for the first time, that Anthony was being accused of this, what did you think?
I didn't believe it.
Anthony Sanchez is full-blooded Choctaw. The history in the state is that the Native Americans are not worthy.
When I met Anthony Sanchez, he began to talk about his innocence. As I kind of pushed more and more into this case, again, it started becoming stranger and stranger.
Julie Buskin was abducted from her apartment complex and murdered on the shore. Authorities had claimed to get a random match on Anthony Sanchez. Anthony Sanchez was convicted and sentenced to death based on that trace amount of DNA.
Julie Buskin had matching DNA numbers that matched Anthony. And not just Anthony, but a prior person who'd been looked at as a suspect. That should not happen unless you're a relative. Nothing about the sketch appeared to match Anthony. Then went through some of the witness statements. It very quickly moved to trying to locate an item with DNA for his dad, Glenn Sanchez. So involved reaching out to Charlotte, his ex. At some point, she may have heard a confession. And it turned out to be 3.
He would turn around saying how he hogtied her, and he said he raped her.
There is suspicion out there that Glenn Sanchez could have been a serial killer.
It's what, as I understand it.
It just don't make sense. There's something wrong with this case, and somebody needs to do something about it and investigate.
If Anthony Sanchez is executed, the truth will be executed.
We have evidence right now that could exonerate Anthony Sanchez, and not just exonerate him, but potentially give us the person responsible. And if we have that capability and we have the evidence, why in the world would we not do it?
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Appreciate everybody who's coming. I see a lot of names from a lot of different places. And, I want to say on behalf of Anthony, his family, Death Penalty Action, myself, and everybody that's been involved in this campaign, thank you. No doubt, no hesitation, thank you. We are at a very difficult hour.
Introduce yourself, Jeff. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I thought you said unmute yourself. I was fixing to say that was the first thing I checked. Yes, sure. Sorry. My name is Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood. I am Anthony Sanchez's spiritual advisor. And, and I'll also introduce everybody else who is here quickly. I'm thankful for all of these faces that you see, tireless advocates for Anthony and for justice. We've got, and I realize the configuration is different, but we've got Allie Sullivan, who does communications for Death Penalty Action, who's also somebody who has introduced Death Penalty Action to this case a long time ago. We've got Cassie Bordeaux, who, wait a second, Allie is up in Oregon. Cassie Bordeaux in Oregon as well. And she is a podcaster, somebody who has done a lot of really amazing work on all sorts of cases. We also have Tara Cardinal, who is another amazing person, an actress, an investigator, and all sorts of things, who has done tremendous work, tremendous digging on this case. We got Paris Powell, who would be next, coming to us from Oklahoma, who was a former death row inmate with Anthony Sanchez, who is now an exoneree, a tremendous source of hope for all of us who do this work. At the bottom, we've got Mike Zusman, who looks like he's in Walmart or somewhere. Rabbi Michael Cantor, Michael Zusman, who is an amazing colleague in ministry, who writes and engages people from all over the country on death row. And of course, last but certainly not least, Brother Abe Bonowitz, the executive director of Death Penalty Action. Okay, So with all of that said, I'm very thankful again for everybody, very thankful for everybody on the call. We've got people coming in on the chat who are coming from all sorts of different places. Please, when you get a second, introduce yourself on the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. Again, we have people coming from all over the world, from all sorts of states, all sorts of movements, who are here at this hour to stand for Anthony Sanchez. I want to make something very clear. This has not been an easy road. It is difficult to work on these sorts of cases. It's difficult to try to save a life. But I want you to know, along with everybody else who's here, I know that they would say the same thing, that there is nothing else worth doing than trying to save lives. I want to make that clear. It's difficult, and it's been difficult, but there's nothing else worth doing. With that said, I also wanted to speak to where we're at with everything. We are obviously less than 48 hours away from Anthony's possible execution, despite our, just monumental efforts. I mean, and I don't use that word lightly. Monumental efforts. I believe that this group and everyone here has done every possible thing that they can to try to stop this. And that's the reason why I'm coming back to this group right now. I believe that there is still hope. I believe that there is still a possibility that we could see a miracle. I think sometimes we spend a lot of times praying for miracles, and I think praying's good. I think we spend a lot of time hoping for miracles, and certainly hoping for miracles is good. But tonight we're asking you to work for a miracle. We're asking you to do what we do best, and that is to stand up and stand out, to start making some phone calls. So you're going to be hearing this number a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and share it. Let's see. Before we get started in earnest, because I want everybody to remember. One second. I need to remember this number. Hold on. Okay. I want everybody to say it with me right now. 405. 405. Come on, y'all. 405. 521.
521.
521. 2342.
2342.
405.
405.
521.
521.
2342. Thank you so much. That is the number for Governor Stitt. Governor Stitt can stand in the way of this execution. In fact, he has a direct line to the execution chamber. And even up until the last second, Governor Stitt could stop this execution and grant Anthony Sanchez a 60-day reprieve. We believe that Anthony is worthy of a 60-day reprieve because we have all sorts of newly discovered evidence that the court will not allow into the legal process for procedural reasons. The only way we're going to be able to get this evidence into court is by giving Anthony's new attorneys the opportunity to push it into court, to be able to go through all of this evidence, to be able to look at it again and push it into court. So with that said, I wanted to go ahead and turn it over to a number of people on the panel who are there, who have been there, who are here. We need some pep talk. We need some good energy. We need some fire and asses. We need to be pushed to move, to dial 405-521-2342. let's see. Man, I was going to call on Paris, but he's left. Brother Mike Zeusman, will you give us a word, my man?
Certainly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
All right. It's an honor to stand with you, Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood, and Death Penalty Action in this sacred work that you're doing. And I'm honored to be an advisory committee member for Death Penalty Action. And our group, L'Chaim, Jews Against the Death Penalty, stands with you in this effort to save a life. In Hebrew, like you said, Dr. Hood, pikuach nefesh in Hebrew, saving a life. There is nothing greater. And just about all other mitzvot, all other commandments are put aside in order to save a life. As we read in the Talmud, you save a life, you save a universe. You destroy a life, you destroy a universe. And I was just at a funeral for the elementary school teacher of my daughter who was murdered. And it was a Muslim funeral. And they repeated the same verse from their tradition. You save a life, you save a universe. You destroy a life, you destroy a universe. Governor Stitt has this power in his hands once again, as he has so many times. And I stand before you, well, yes, I stand before you from coming from the gym. That's why I'm all decked out like this. But I stand before you as well during the 10 days of repentance in the Jewish calendar. This is the sacred season when each of us is in the Jewish world is told that we have the choice to make teshuvah, to make repentance. And we have the chance to admit when we've been wrong, to do what is right. And this is what we're asking Governor Stitt to do, to admit that he may have been wrong, that the state may have been wrong. And as you said, to grant at the very least 60 days so that we can know for sure what Maimonides, the Rabbi Moses ben Maimon, the famous physician and a Jewish philosopher, said, that we do not kill an innocent person. He said it is better to release and acquit 1,000 guilty people than to put one innocent person to death. And so from around the world, we stand with you, Dr. Hood, Reverend Hood, and with you, Death Penalty Action. May we free Anthony Sanchez. Amen.
Man, thank you so much, Brother Mike. If you save a life, you save a universe. If you destroy a life, you destroy a universe. It's powerful, powerful. 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. Next, I want to go to Sister Tara, coming to us, I believe, from California right now, maybe Oklahoma. You tell me in a second, but I'm so thankful for her and her work. And she is certainly one of the unsung heroes of our effort, who has consistently tracked down all sorts of leads, pushed into DNA, and just been a powerful influence on this campaign. Sister Tara, give us a word.
Thank you. That's quite the introduction. I am in Oklahoma. I'm on standby, ready to go through those boxes if we can get our hands on them. Here's the thing about DNA, and I'll just make this real quick. DNA can tell you who, but it cannot tell you when. DNA is not time-stamped. A person's DNA can be left for months, anywhere. It doesn't mean that they were at a specific place at a specific time. That's all I got.
Wonderful. I saw very quickly a comment from Leslie Love. And I know the name Leslie Love because Leslie Love is the mother of Anthony's son. And I'm very thankful that she is with us tonight. And Leslie, if you wanted to say something, you are more than welcome to join us on the panel. With that said, 405-521-2342, 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. Next, I wanted to jump to Brother Paris Powell, again, a powerful influence, was with us last week at the state capitol, demanding justice for Anthony Sanchez, just like he has demanded justice for himself. This is a brother that does not leave any man behind. And I'm very thankful for him. Brother Paris.
Man, Jeff, Reverend Hood, man, first, just like always, man, let me give you a salutation, man. I can't even imagine, you know, the type of pressure you have to have to stand up under such hypocrisy when it comes to the justice system. But I commend you, man. Like I said, when I walked that last mile with you, and you know, just to the panel and to anybody who's listening, not just the number to Governor Stint, but when I was listening to all of you guys' comments, and I had talked to Abe before, one of the most important factors we just keep on leaving out, and Reverend Hood touched on it, is the sovereignty of his bloodline in regard to him being a native. And so I don't know the actual number, but Abe could probably get to it. But I actually would put out there that we get a real push and open up those lines up there to his tribal, to the people over his tribe, and ask them, you know, to just come forward and allow their voice to be one that goes directly to Governor Stint, and ask for that mercy to err on caution in regard to this innocence claim. And that's one of the most things that just gets me, is that this man is proclaiming innocence. He's not proclaiming, asking for mercy. He's not asking for clemency, as we saw. He forgo that. So yeah, let's reach out to the native side of this and see if we can put some, you know, amicable pressure on them to step up for one of their bloodlines that's about to be murdered. And at the end of the day, we all know that the death certificate is signed homicide at the end. So I yield the mic, Reverend Hood, man, and you know, I encourage everybody, man, you know, never stop, man. It's never over until it's over. And last but not least, I did want to put this out there that, you know, this man has kept his courage. You know, when I read what he said in the paper today, that's one of the most important things that I always try to get to all those guys down there, is that, you know, at the end of the day, the battle is for your soul. The battle is truly for your soul. And so, you know, if you lose the fight with the flesh, for them to execute that, just make sure you hold on and guard, you know, the door to your soul, because the system has no control over that. And last but not least, man, I will issue a challenge out to Ms. Tara, Reverend Hood, and Abraham, that if the worst of the worst does happen, and they do execute this man, that you don't let go with the questions that still remain answered, that you do challenge the AG to say, hey, what do you have to lose now? Let us test it now. And that's what's always never happens afterwards. It's just like it's gone and on to the next one. So continue to and let him know, Reverend Hood, that you guys will fight even long after he's gone, to validate the hypocrisy of this system for him. Now you're the mic.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Again, 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. I also wanted to, I saw in the chat, Norma Shelnut Soto, and I wanted to invite her onto the panel. Norma is Anthony's sister, who they've been reconnected in recent weeks, and just another powerful story of just the nature of love, how love brings us together, and love keeps us going, and love keeps us fighting. So with all of those loves, I'm going to kick it over to Leslie Love. And, you know, Leslie, I have, it is humorous almost to see your face, because I have heard about you for a very long time. And I had no idea what you look like or anything like that. But I do know that Anthony has talked so much about his son. He's talked a lot about you and how you have stood there with him through the years and been, I guess, a good friend to him and a good family member. So anyways, Leslie, I'll invite you to come on and give us a few words.
I really wish they would go into his case. But I guess they're not going to do it. And, my son, he's going through a lot. He's having to go through a lot of counseling and has a lot of anger. So I'll just be praying for him all the time. I'm not for sure what to really say. I just, be nice if they did give someone a chance to look through the case and look through all the evidence. I'll really be praying for his family, his sister, his other 2 daughters that he has. He don't just have a son, he has 3 kids. And they haven't been able to be in his life in about 13 or 14 years. They actually haven't really got to be around him in 23 or 24 years. And he has actually, I think, a grandkid or 2 he hasn't seen. But it'd be nice if they could go into his case and look at it. Just need a lot of prayer.
Thank you, Leslie. I really appreciate that. And just know that we're praying for you and we're praying for your son. And I also know that I hear the reason I know who you are is because I hear Anthony talk about you all the time. And so I just want to give you tremendous encouragement right now. And I just want you to make sure you tell your son that we're standing with him too. We're not just standing with Anthony, we're standing with him too. Thank you. 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. Demand a 60-day reprieve. All right. I wanted to quickly also jump over to my dear friend, Cassie Bordeaux, who is somebody that I have gotten to know through this campaign. And
Norma's here.
Okay, I see you, Norma. I'll be there in just a second. Cassie, I just wanted to say, though, that, I wanted you to jump in here and give us some of your thoughts. You've engaged this evidence for a little while now, and I'm just kind of curious what you would have to say.
Thank you, Jeff. And I apologize. I have been fighting COVID for the last week and a half, so my voice is a little not that great. I got involved in the case back in May, and I did a couple different podcasts on it and tried to, just help build the momentum of the campaign and getting more people to know about it and trying to blast stuff on social media like so many people have done, which is really great because now we're all here and we see that we've actually been successful in building that campaign and building that support for Anthony, which he didn't have before. And that's everybody who's contributed to that, which is awesome to see. As far as the evidence, I think we all, from what all of us have seen, it, you kind of start out with a little piece of this doesn't make sense. And then that digs into more. And then it just unravels, just like the title of the documentary, Evidence Unraveled. And as you unravel that, you're just left with more and more questions. And if we're left with those questions, I'm always going to be against the death penalty, but if we're left with any questions, we really just need to stop this. And I just want to say thank you for everybody who's called Governor Stitt so far and to keep calling. I love it when I call and I'm placed on hold for several minutes. That makes me feel really good that the phone lines are blowing up. So please make it so I'm on hold for at least a half an hour tomorrow when I call. But I also want to echo what Paris said, that, if the worst of the worst happens on Thursday, we need to keep up the fight, because I think sometimes, or oftentimes when they want to suppress the truth, they push ahead to try to bury the truth. And we need to show them that they can't keep getting away with that. So let's keep calling 405-521-2342 and just keep fighting.
Thank you, Cassie. Man, 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. I wanted to jump also to somebody I've gotten to know from a distance in recent days, and that is Sister Norma. Norma, I have heard about you as well in recent days, and you know, I think it's important for us to really quickly to state that you're seeing the faces of the victims of the death penalty. I mean, certainly we have victims of crimes, and certainly we have all the folks in the justice system who don't want to be participants in this, but you're also seeing two sides of Anthony's family right now, and there are many sides of Anthony's family who are not going to get the opportunity, if this happens, are not going to get the opportunity to love him. You're seeing a mother who is going to have to explain to her son, you know, the death of his father. I mean, we are not just calling the governor to arbitrarily stop an execution. We're calling the governor for Leslie and for Norma and for Kathy Hodge and for Catherine and for Aslan and for all of the family, and for that matter, all of Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma is gearing up to commit a deep injustice, a deep travesty, the execution of an innocent man. And make no mistake, if they do, that blood will be on all of their hands. Sister Norma, thank you for joining us. And I wanted to call on you if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you for having me. As I mentioned in the email that I sent you, I'm confused a little, you know, and I know that, I don't know, maybe I have felt some kind of, I wanted to reach out to Anthony. You know, we communicated a while back, a couple years ago, a few years back. And I went away for a little while, came back, and I'm reading all this stuff, and I thank you for allowing me to be here. It's hard. It's hard. But I was blessed to talk to Anthony 2 days ago. And he's got such a good heart. He's humble right now. He's just humble about everything, you know. I just want to keep fighting for him. Thank you for having me.
Norma, I also want you to know, and I know that sometimes Anthony doesn't push his words, his emotions forward as much as he would like sometimes, but I want you to know that, you know, he is just overwhelmed by, you know, your presence in his life at this moment.
Thank you.
And just, you know, he has told me how much you mean to him. And Leslie, the same is true of you. I mean, you know, it just is, it's just a beautiful thing to see what y'all are bringing out in him. You know, those deep feelings of love and just care that he has for you and the rest of his family. So I wanted to pop over to Abe Bonowitz from Death Penalty Action. What did you have? Did you have a word for us, Abe?
I do. I just wanted to pop in here. I saw somebody was asking about in-person vigils. We're hoping that we're not there having to have vigils yet. Of course, if you know, just to update you on the legal stuff, we know that Anthony's been denied at the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal. So the next step is to an en banc review. meaning so when you go to to a circuit court, you get a panel of 3 judges, and they look at it and then they decide yes or no. He was denied today, so now they're going to ask, if I understand correctly, Anthony's lawyers will be asking for a review of the case by the whole court. So I don't know how many justices are on the 10th Circuit, but it might be 15 or 16. And then that may take a day for that to happen. And then if that is denied, or whoever loses there will then go to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's sort of what happens in terms of the timetable. And it always gets crunched down into these last few hours here, which adds to the tension of what's happening. So there's that. Now, tomorrow, here's the next things are going to happen in the case. Tomorrow, you're going to see there'll be a final petition delivery. Some of us will be there, and I'll be there. I'm hoping to be there. I got to drive from Columbus, Ohio, which I'll be doing tonight. And when we get done here, so at 4:00 at the governor's office, which is inside the state capitol on the 2nd floor, we'll meet outside the governor's office and together go into the governor's office and deliver more than, well, we'll check here. Let's see where we are with the petitions. I'm going to go to the Death Penalty Action webpage, and right here is where at deathpenaltyaction.org. I think somebody could put a link in the chat if you don't already know it. This is where you can watch the film. This is where you can link to Anthony's webpage about the case. And then, of course, we've got petitions for the upcoming executions. And this is where you can find the petition. It looks like we're still approaching 15,000 signatures in this case. We presented a bunch of them the other day, but this is where you would find that. This is also, again, where you would find the webpage in this case at freeanthonysanchez.org or .com, works just as well. And you can see here some of the stuff we've been doing. There's still the tip line for people that have come forward with more information about this case, which has been significant. And the biggest challenge we have, and this is what happened with the request to the court to entertain new evidence, it was all procedurally barred. It doesn't matter what we have, because they say it wasn't enough. And even if it is enough, this is not the first time. I want to talk about that in a moment, but this is where you can find all the evidence. This is where you can look to see videos about a bunch of this, the different evidentiary questions that remain unanswered in this case. This is where if you click on the news reports, you can get to a page that has all of our press releases since May 25th and May 24th, I should say, and then all of the news items. There's probably a couple more that are new today that need to be added in here, but you can see in particular, well, basically from the bottom up are the news items that we've generated pretty much since May 25th on this, which has been significant. And that is something that I want to make sure you all know about. So these are some of the resources that you have. So tomorrow at 4:00 outside the governor's office in the state capitol. And then immediately after that at 5-ish, we'll go over and do a visibility action. We'll hold our signs and our banners on the lawn from at the State Historical Museum or whatever it is, right across the street from the governor's mansion. We'll do that for a little while, about an hour or so. People will honk their horns at us and the media might come out and talk to us. And then if the execution is not stopped, then on Thursday morning, there will be folks outside the governor's mansion again, starting about 9 a.m. The execution time is 10 a.m. unless there's a delay. But either way, we plan for visibility. There will be a visibility outside the governor's mansion. There will be a gathering of us outside the prison in McAllister. There will be a number of vigils in communities of faith around the state. And if you're on our email list, if you've signed this petition and opted into the email list, you'll receive an email tomorrow with a list of all of those vigils that are happening and what you can do. and then, of course, there's the live virtual vigil that will be taking place in a very similar situation like what we have right now. And again, we'll be pushing out the link to sign up for that tomorrow. So watch for that email that'll come tomorrow morning about how to register for the live virtual vigil that will take place if you can't be in person. But if you can be in person, please go to the governor's mansion, or come to the prison, or go to one of the other prayer vigils. And also, I would say, especially if you come to the prison, or if you're on the live virtual vigil, then be sure to plan to stick around until Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood exits the prison, because he's going to come and share with us his experience in the death chamber with Anthony in his last moments. So these are the vigils and the opportunities for direct in-person action. This is not done. There's still legal maneuvers that, by virtue of a miracle, could bring some relief to Anthony. And I say that because I wanted to mention, again, the evidence that we have, the idea of reviewing old evidence and also looking at new evidence, which has been developed since December, including the confessions of Glenn Sanchez, including what are the other new pieces of evidence? There's whole questions of, we've had several people who have claimed to be witnesses to have seen the victim, Julie Buskin, with Glenn Sanchez the morning of the murder. We have people that have come forward who were investigators in the original investigation of this murder, who have come forward to say Glenn Sanchez was always a suspect and they discounted him. There's a lot that's going to come out. And of course, just on Saturday, Anthony, one of the successes that would not have happened had this campaign not been in place, had Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood not brought this forward. Anthony was denied access to more than 50 boxes of case materials that the prior defense attorney just would not give Anthony access to. And he's been asking for it. His family's been asking for it for well over a year. Anthony formally asked for it, and I think it was in June, and that was denied. A federal judge denied Anthony access to that, denied Anthony's request to change his attorneys, because his attorneys did. We worked with his attorneys to try to bring this evidence forward in February. A motion was filed at the end. I think it was in the beginning of February, and that was denied. And at that point, the attorney's hands were tied. It was all they could do. All that was left was clemency. And Anthony didn't want to beg for mercy. He wanted to continue to fight to prove his innocence. So at that point, he needed new attorneys because his prior attorneys weren't going to do that. And he was denied the opportunity to change his attorneys. And then, even though they fought the idea of him changing his attorneys, once that ruling came out, then they withdrew from the case. And that was when Anthony was able to ask again. His attorneys were able to ask, and we were able to force this federal judge, Judge Heaton, to reverse himself by asking the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals to order him to look at it again, which of course, nod, wink, wink, give the guy his evidence. So that ruling came down, and I'm told on Saturday, the evidence was finally able to be accessed. And not sure exactly where we are in that process, but you can't go through 50 boxes of materials in just a couple of days. And that's the challenge that we're in. And that's why we're asking the governor to grant a 60-day reprieve so that there's time for the lawyers to look through and see. Because how do you even, they want him, the court wants the lawyers and wants Anthony to be able to say, what do you want out of those boxes? What is there? And of course, how do you know if you've never looked through them? I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you that it's pretty much common sense that a person should have access to his evidence. And the challenge that we have here is this thing called procedural bars. And this is not the only case. There have been at least 3 other people executed this year who were denied the ability to bring new evidence or a new look or interpretation of evidence in front of a court because they'd already asked for something and it's been denied, and that's it. You only get one shot. It's a procedural bar. You can't do it because you've already had that shot. And that is the problem that we have in this country. It is constitutional to execute a person who may be innocent. When Rodney Reed was almost executed a couple of years ago, the question that the U.S. Supreme Court was being asked to look at is it constitutional to execute a person who can show that they are innocent? And they never actually took that case because the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals intervened and granted a stay and an evidentiary hearing. And that's a whole nother story that we all ought to be concerned about. But at the end of the day, that's a question that really still needs to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Is it constitutional to execute somebody when you can show evidence that calls into question your guilt or even demonstrates your innocence? And the bars are set so high. That's the real problem with this system right now, on top of all the other issues, on top of people being poverty stricken, on top of the idea that racism exists. It's not an idea, the fact that racism exists in our legal system across this country and in Oklahoma. And I'll say it again right now, that had Anthony Sanchez been a white person and not a Native American, maybe more people would take interest, people in power. We've been asking the Attorney General to just meet with Anthony Sanchez's investigators, just meet with Anthony Sanchez's attorneys and discuss this new evidence, this fresh look at evidence, these questions that remain unanswered. And thousands of phone calls. Thank you, each one of you that has been making these calls to the Attorney General and now also to the governor. Thank you, because it's, we're putting the pressure on and they are just putting the hand up and not responding, not taking the time to give Anthony the opportunity to bring forward his evidence. So that's sort of the status of where things are legally. It's some of the issues that we've been grappling with for 9 months now. And again, just in the past weeks, putting the pressure on, asking the governor, asking the Attorney General to do what they can do. They don't need any recommendations of any panels. They can do these things. And we need to continue to demand them all the way up until, and even after, if the execution goes forward. So that's what I wanted to add for the moment. I see Allie's got her hand up. So Allie, what you got?
I just really quickly wanted to say that Ralph and Amber have questions. Their hands are raised. So if you guys have questions, just put them in the chat and we'll get to them.
Allie, did you want to add a few words about your friendship with Anthony and what, connects? I mean, Allie, to be honest, everybody, Allie has been the kind of start of this whole campaign. She's the person that first introduced me to Anthony and really encouraged me to get to working on death row in Oklahoma. And, I think that sometimes she doesn't get the limelight that she deserves. So the limelight's on you, Sister Allie. Let's hear from it.
Thank you, Jeff. So as Jeff said, I've known Anthony a while. I think I met him about 1.5 years ago. We started corresponding. And many of you know, last summer, I was just completely entrenched with the campaign for my friend Coastal Chantacuman. And given how close I was with Coastal and everything that happened there, I didn't think that I could be as present and as engaged in this campaign as I was with Coastal, which is a large reason why I brought Jeff in. Not only that I couldn't take the lead on this one, but I also wanted Anthony to be able to have a spiritual advisor like Jeff. So I'm really happy that you've been there for him for this last, who knows how long, a very long time. And I don't know. I know you guys that know people on death row, it's very difficult when it gets to these spaces. And I was telling this to Jeff earlier, but I feel almost guilty that I haven't been as present for Anthony as I have for other people, because I really don't know how I'm going to respond if Anthony is killed. And so I'm just really grateful that there's been other people, Jeff included, that have kept his spirits up. And I'm so happy that he's been able to connect with his family again and see them. I know that that's really important. I hope Anthony knows how much we care about him and how much we love him. And I think he does. But I just want to make sure that all of us that are in communication with him remind him of that.
Definitely. Yeah, I do believe that he knows that he is loved. And, speaking of him being loved, I see that we have been joined by Kathy Hodge. And I am so thankful for this lady. She is somebody who has, put everything she's got into her son. And, he always is talking to me about his mama. And, I know that we're going to keep on calling. Let me insert it in there. 405-521-2342. Call Governor Stitt. And we're going to keep on working hard, but I also know that, a lot of this that's happened and a lot of this campaign is the result of the encouragement of a mother who has stood by her son through thick and thin, who has encouraged him, encouraged me to keep on fighting. And I am just so thankful for her. So Kathy, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I don't know if I can talk too much. I'm kind of having a breakdown right now, but I just want everybody to call the governor and try to get this stopped. I know he's innocent. I think there's enough evidence to prove his innocence. And we just got to do what we can to stop this.
405-521-2342. Kathy, I just, I know that we'll talk later, but I just want you to know that we are, it's not just me, it's, dozens and dozens of people on this call, dozens and dozens of people around the world who are praying for you, praying for Anthony, praying for this whole situation. And so, as you know, I stand with you, your family. I love you, love your family, and call the governor. I mean, if you are moved by, these family members, what you've heard tonight, call the governor. Demand a 60-day reprieve. 405-521-2342.
Just note to be writing that number down. Of course, you'll send it out to you again. They're obviously not taking calls at this time of the day, but I think the office opens at 8 or 9 a.m. Central Time, and that's when we want to get that phone ringing nonstop all day tomorrow. It's no business as usual when you're killing guilty or innocent. But in this case, there's too much doubt, and for me, what made me get as deeply involved in this as I could is because David Ballard, the investigator that we hired, who works for the state and often is a person that is on the prosecution side, and he has put his ability to work for the state on the line by coming out and advocating for Anthony. And for somebody like that to become a voice for Anthony Sanchez and a voice against what the state is trying to do, I think that is enough for me to say that there's something to it. And that's what's convinced me to be as deeply involved in this and as hardcore on this as I can be. And that's what we've done. We put a lot of effort, we've raised a lot of money and used every penny of it and more to do this work. And somebody was asking, what else can we do? The thing that we all got to be doing is inviting other people to learn more about this, to watch the film, to sign the petition, to come out if you're anywhere near McAllister, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma City, to come out tomorrow at 4 o'clock at the governor's office, or at 5 o'clock outside the governor's mansion, or else if it comes down to it on Thursday morning, to be outside the governor's mansion or in McAllister at one of the other locations where the vigils will be taking place. So those are the things that we can do, and be sharing. If you can't get to these places in person, be sharing material, invite people to look at the webpage, invite people to watch the film. If you can, make a donation to help us continue to cover the costs of doing this work. You know, we need to get a hotel room for Reverend Dr. Hurd, who's about to go to McAllister and be present with Anthony for the next 2 days. We need to fill up the gas tank. So I'm going to be driving overnight to get there. This doesn't happen I got plenty of my own money in this too. But the point is that's why one of the ways people can be active is what we call checkbook activism. So there's that. But the important thing is we stand up and we use whatever we've got to help more people understand that this is a crisis and there's something that we can do. If nothing else, that we stand up and say it's wrong.
All right. Thank you, Abe. I wanted to quickly, Kathy, somebody in the chat is saying that they're sending love. We're sorry you have to go through this, praying for a stay. This must be hard. I can't imagine. That's from Monica Raymond. And I know that there's so many people out there like Monica who are praying for you, Kathy, and standing with you. Leslie, Norma as well, other family members. And tomorrow, I'll be with Anthony in the morning, and Kathy and Anthony's daughter, Catherine, will be with him in the afternoon. And make no mistake, he will spend tomorrow knowing how much he is loved. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. Again, please call the governor, 405-521-2342. I'm going to go ahead and offer just a few words, and then we'll hear from Anthony himself. Anthony made a recording a short time ago to share with us. But I just want to make sure that it's plainly stated that Anthony Sanchez is an incredibly kind, generous, compassionate, loving human being, made in the image of God. Somebody who has become, amongst my dearest friends. And he seems to be more worried about me. I mean, I'm super worried about him. I'm doing everything I can. I'm on this call tonight, making all these phone calls, trying to do everything we can do to stop this. And he keep on telling me it's going to be okay. And I'm like, stop, wait a second. Like, you don't understand. This is horrible.
That's what he told me. It's going to be all right.
It's going to be, he keeps on saying that. It's going to be okay. You got to have some serious faith in God. You got to have some serious confidence in yourself to keep saying at a moment like this, it's going to be okay. No matter what happens, I want it to be said here tonight, and I want it to be said over and over again. Anthony Sanchez has repeatedly said that he is someone who would rather die standing on his innocence than begging for clemency on his knees. I'm going to tell you something. This is a man of unbelievable courage. Courage. Everybody wants to talk about courage these days. This is courage. To stand on your principles, no matter what. I'm incredibly thankful for him, and incredibly thankful to know him. Allie, do we have the audio ready?
Yes, we do.
All right, could you go ahead and play that? We're going to let Anthony take us on out tonight. Thank you for being here. Love to you all. I'll say a quick prayer when this gets over with, and then we'll be done.
My name is Anthony Sanchez, innocent man on death row in Oklahoma. I want to thank everyone for working so hard on my behalf. Right now, I need you to call Governor Stitt at 405-521-2342 and ask him to grant a 60-day reprieve so that my brand new lawyers can review newly discovered evidence. Lastly, I want to encourage everyone to stay strong and not give up the fight. Regardless of what happens, let it be said of us that we stood for my innocence rather than begging for clemency on our knees.
Let us pray. Ye though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil. For we know that God is with us. Let us take the words of Anthony Sanchez. Let us put them in our heart. Let us ponder what it means to have such courage. And let us take that courage and live like Anthony has lived, on our feet and not our knees. Amen. Thank y'all so much. Bless y'all. Let's see. Hold on one more time. Man, don't you know I can't remember it. 405-521-2342. 405-521-2342. I love Anthony Sanchez. I love all of y'all. Call the governor. And we're going to make it through this because of such love. Love is what's going to get us through this. Love is what's going to guide us. Love is going to keep us breathing. So don't let go of love. All right, let's go ahead. I know that Abe is driving to Oklahoma tonight. I'm driving to Oklahoma tonight. I have my daughter here with me. Kathy, I wanted to tell you this really quick, and I'm sorry, I'm just pointing you out, but our kids have been praying for Anthony. They love Anthony. They've talked to Anthony, and I'm just so, again, thankful that God has put him in my life. Abe, did you have something else you wanted to share?
I was trying to fixate fix the image on the call the governor piece. Just remember, tomorrow morning, hit it. If you haven't signed a petition yet, go to the webpage, sign the petition, not only for Anthony, but for the other people who are facing execution this month and next month, please, at deathpenaltyaction.org. But when you do, opt into the email list so that we can let you know what's the next step, what's happening, how do you register for the Zoom vigil if it comes to that. And thank you all for being with us tonight. It makes a difference.
Thank you, Abe. We have other family members who have come up in the chat. Thank you all so much. We stand with you. Everybody on the panel, thank you so much. We are pushing. Don't give up hope. Do not give up hope. Until the very last second, do not give up hope. Good night.